We've seen some developments between the US and China in the trade wars, and if they do come to a resolution, which is looking very, very likely, as soon as tomorrow, we could start to see some explosive moves happening within both the equities and the crypto market. So in today's show, we'll discuss what charts we're looking at, what the levels are to gain entries. I'll also show you in today's show how you can get $100 for absolutely free. So smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get straight into it. Look at the Banter bubbles over here on the daily, or actually this is on the hourly. Massive moves already. WIF up 9% almost already just on the hourly. If you look at the dailies, WIF up 30%. So you're seeing that comeback from the meme coin sector. Now, will that trend continue? That's what we need to look at. So a lot of these are meme coins, right? Look at that SPX up 10%, 𝗏𝗏𝗀 up 10%. Also, we have PEPE up 10%. So a lot of the biggest gainers over here seem to be meme coins. Remember, that was the leader of the prior part of the bull run over the course of November leading into December, where we did ultimately put in a top. Those were the top performers within the markets. So will the meme coins continue to lead the move up, right? That's what we'll discuss as well in today's show. Get your chart requests ready and let's get into it, right? So you have over here from the White House breaking: US announces China trade deal in Geneva. They have met. I was actually watching some of the live videos this morning where they were doing Q&A, and it does sound mostly positive. Their tonality, from both the US and China is pretty dovish over there, pretty cooperative, and it seems like they may be coming to some sort of an actual resolution. And then you had Trump on his Truth Social saying, my next truth post, that's the equivalent of a tweet, will be one of the most important and impactful that I've ever issued. Enjoy. And I do want to remind you that just last week he posted, don't forget to buy stocks. Remember the last time that he did that, we saw a massive move. The moves were faded soon after. I have to be clear on that. The difference is that ever since a couple of weeks ago, about 2-3 weeks ago, we've seen that they're not getting faded, right? The positive news is actually holding up over there. So here you have your stock market. It is challenging these highs. We spoke about this last week. We said this was a key resistance area, but we said that the probability definitely does seem higher that you're probably going to explode through this level. And that looks to be the case, as you do see your RSI as well breaking out over here. This is off of the downtrend that was governing most of the move towards the downside. Remember, we had the bearish divergence over here. That bearish divergence has played out. And at the moment, it looks like you may be on track to print your first higher high for the stock market. Remember, the name of the game is the trend, and the trend is higher highs and higher lows. So following your first higher high, you would then be looking to see what the next pullback has in store in the form of a high low, right? So far, that's what we're looking at over here. And I would expect that it's got everything to do with what's going to happen around this announcement, which I believe is going to be coming out probably tomorrow, right? And it's interesting how they always line all of these things up as a economic pressure cooker, right? Ready for big moves, because tomorrow we also have the CPI read, which is coming out for the US. That's going to be 4:30 my time. So depending where you are in the world, I think US time, that's around market open. So you're probably going to set out the Monday range this week, right? The Monday high and the Monday low. And I think there's going to be some phenomenal trade opportunities around that level. As soon as you sweep the Monday low, at least that's going to be my expectation. You're going to print a Monday high, a Monday low, and then leading into maybe tomorrow, you might get a little bit of jittery feelings and within the market participants, and maybe you come down, sweep that Monday low, and that's going to be the trade opportunity to get long as soon as you get back into the trading range, right? We're seeing the daily exchange volume rise towards the upside. We said that this is most likely going to be the case when we started to see this first little high low printed, right? If you zoom in, you can see the low is at over here, 30.05 billion. And then we put the next one in at 30.7 billion. So marginally higher. And now for the first time, we're going in to put in that higher high. So looking at the 7-day daily exchange volume, this shows that more optimism will be coming into the market. Retail participants will slowly start to dip their toes back in the water again, start to deposit back onto exchanges and get ready for the next moves up, right? So a lot of things coming together that opens up the possibility that this purple cycle over here, which is this cycle, has a chance to start to catch up. Now, historically speaking, this is the phase timing-wise. When I say timing-wise, we can always measure how long a bull market is from the bottom of the cycle to the prior ends of the cycle where the bull market's topped. And typically it's 1,000 to 1,100 days. Now, of course, yeah, markets can throw you a curveball. Sometimes the market can go a little bit shorter. Sometimes it can go a little bit longer. But if we play the game of assuming that historical results will equal future performance and it's going to move in alignment with the prior cycles, well, where are we at? We're day 915. Now, typically from about that day 1,000, which is coming up very, very soon, to 1,100. So for that 100-day period is where you typically see the biggest, boldest moves, right? That's where things start to go absolutely parabolic. And it is all lining up, right? Everything is lining up really, really well over there. So we have to look at the high time frames to see how things are looking. Because remember, we said we wanted to see what the weekly close looked like. And while the weekly close was really, really good. If you look at the stochastic RSI, it is crossing towards the upside. It's reset. You have your MACD, which is also moving towards the upside. Excuse me, this is on the monthly scale, right? So we still need the monthly candle close, but MACD crossing towards the upside, RSI crossing towards the upside. 3-week scale, the MACD has crossed back up, right? Which is a good sign. Look at that. We had a little bit of a scary period over here where it started to cross down. This has marked all of the prior major tops. So bulls have absolutely saved the day in the dying seconds over there. And that has now crossed back towards the upside on the 3-week scale. Here's your 2-week scale, stochastic RSI moving towards the upside. Your 2-week is about to cross up. It hasn't crossed yet. So a little bit higher, and you should get that towards the upside. And then we can look at the weekly. And the weekly, you can see stochastic RSI reaching over there. And we have the MACD, which is also now crossed towards the upside. But let's focus on price, right? Price over here coming into this key level. Very, very strong weekly close over there above the 21 weekly exponential moving average, which as long as it's angled onwards and upwards, you expect price to continue, right? So this is very, very, very key zone over here based on the momentum behind the bulls. How do we gauge the momentum? Well, everything we just looked at, right? The stochastic RSIs, the MACDs, you can look at the RSI, you can look at your other momentum oscillators on the high time frames from the monthly, 3-week, 2-week, and down to the weekly. And all of that shows there's legs over here, right? There's an opportunity for an explosive move. So what we have historically seen in some of the prior cycles is when you do get into this late phase, this is where sometimes the dips are a little bit unforgiving, right? For those that are waiting for the dips. Sometimes you don't get very deep dips. The dips become more and more shallow, and the greed that enters into the market becomes more and more aggressive. So I wouldn't necessarily, if we are going to lead into big explosive moves, I wouldn't necessarily be waiting for massive, pullbacks down into these low regions, but it becomes one of those periods where you just want to establish a position and allow for price to continue to run. So we'll talk about the levels in a minute. One of the things that we're looking at over here is the proper breakout. We spoke about the 3 candle confirmation closes, candle 1, candle 2, candle 3, all above that high volume area. This is going to lead into a consolidation that will probably continue price towards the upside. There are limited, at least in terms of how high price can go, it is limited by that $125,000 to $130,000 level. And then you would expect some resistance to come in, right? So just to give you a perspective from here, you're looking at basically a 15% to maybe a 25% move on Bitcoin off of this next consolidation into the upward thrust, right? So what are the pullback levels that you'd be looking at? If you get lucky enough to pull back into this fair value gap into the $100,000 region, it would look something like that. That's probably going to be your major support over there. People are going to get long with a stop loss below this big expansive candle. Remember, this expansive candle was predominantly driven by short traders, right? People getting short within the market, which is actually, I want to bring this in screen over here. And you could see this over here, right? So this is a big, big, big short squeeze. And if you look at Bitcoin over here and you focus on small speculators, large speculators, and then the commercials, what are the commercials doing? Well, when the commercials are long, that's typically the environment where you see price continue to run towards the upside. Those are the red bars, right? Currently, the commercials are long. What are the large speculators doing? The large speculators are literally still shorting the market, just like they did previously back here in 2023. You had them shorting the market again over here throughout May, and that started to lead into a pretty big move towards the upside. So currently, the large speculators are short, which increases the probability that you're going to continue to squeeze towards the upside. So liquidity is almost equal over the last 48 hours on both the up and down side over the weekend price action trading. $31 million up for grabs if price spikes up into 105, 106,000. And then on the downside over here, 34 million up for grabs if price drops below 103,000. What you're probably going to see is probably a little bit of a squeeze up to 106,000, and then you might slam back down to 103,000, and that becomes an opportunity over there, right? So here's what we're looking at. If we line up the fib levels, I think there will probably be more shorts that are going to build up over here for the simple reason that you're coming exactly into that 0.886 level, right? So you get your value area high, which is the top of the trading range, and then you get your value area low, which is the bottom of the trading range, right? So we've got the range levels marked out over there. I have the fair value gap marked out over here, and you do probably have a lot of people who short that 886 level, right? The fib level, the 0.886, which is where you're currently caught. Now, you have to have a little bit of a deeper understanding and foresight for what's happening under the hood of the market to determine whether this is a good shorting opportunity. Now, when you see price consolidate into that level, you know, the first spike into that level, which would have been this candle over here, that probably made a bit more sense because it started to come back and close below. You could have been short over there, right? But if you're shorting into this region over here, you're increasing the chance that you're just going to be liquidity for the bulls to push price a little bit higher and break out of that level, right? So that's what you're currently looking at, and that's why it's acting a bit like a pressure cooker, right? Liquidity is strong above and below because you have people hedging, right? Some traders are hedging with a stop loss above that all-time high over there, and they're looking to build shorts into this region. And then you have other players which have their limit buy orders set in this fair value gap. And that's exactly why you're seeing it look like this, right? This is a pretty tight range. So you might capture both sides of the liquidity. I guess it's more a question of which side goes first. So my best guess is you're probably going to see something like this, right? Spike up, take out the 106,000 liquidity, slam it back to about 100, 103,000, capture the liquidity over there, and then ultimately you're going to run it up. So it's up to you, the game that you want to play. If you want to wait for this level to essentially get hit, if you don't have any exposure in the market, you may miss price running up, right? So I'll show you one of the strategies that I've used over there in a minute, right? And I'll also show you how to claim your $100 in a moment, right? We'll get to that tab in a bit. So total cryptocurrency market cap, so far so good. It's had a pretty good close, right? If you have a look over here, the first thing that you want to see to negate that bearish structure is a reclaim of the breakdown level where I've just circled. You've done that, right? You have a full weekly candle close above that breakdown level in the total cryptocurrency market cap, which does increase the probability that you're going to continue with this trend towards the upside, right? If you look over here on total 2, which remember has a much higher weighting, looking at Ethereum as part of the overall market cap over here, total cryptocurrency market cap. So you're minusing Bitcoin from the list. Well, this one is challenging that area right now. And you would expect this is probably going to do exactly what the total cryptocurrency market cap did and bulldoze through. If we look at total 3 is already challenging that order block over there. And if you can flip that, remember, eventually you come back to test these areas as support. So you'd be looking at something like this, right? Big push up, and eventually you should get a pullback into that region. Hold that as support. That's going to be your high low, and then continuation. Let's look at others. Others already flipped that level as well, which is looking pretty good. Now you can start to challenge the 50% level at 300 billion. So let's have a look at the Bitcoin dominance. You can see ultimately Bitcoin dominance has broken down over here. You're consolidating. The longer you consolidate over here, the more bullish it is for altcoins, because you start to form that bear flag on the Bitcoin dominance, and that increases the probability that you're going to break down further. And that's why you're seeing a big catch up over here, right? On others, as well as on total 3 is starting to catch up to what we've already seen Bitcoin do. Bitcoin's already trading, all the way at the highs over here. So there's going to be a bit of a rotation probably in the days and weeks to come. I forgot to mention, let's quickly go back over here, right? Very, very, very important. I forgot to mention, what do we have present right now? Well, we have the bull moon. We also have the bull moon, right? The bull moon has finally printed. Now, bear moons in uptrends are less reliable. Bull moons in uptrends are very, very reliable. And you can see there goes price, right? We said 106,000, then probably come back to 103,000, and then you're going to challenge those all-time highs. So price is starting to press over here, right? All right, so last bear moon did fail, right? Did nothing. It just consolidated price. All right, let's continue. So let's see, ETH. Okay, this is what we're looking at. ETH. ETH probably going to form a little bit of an order block over here that's going to likely lead into the next move towards the upside. A lot of the coins, the momentum oscillators are definitely in that overbought territory on the daily timeframes. And at some point, you're going to get a bit of a pullback, right? But will it be now? I think the momentum is really, really strong, but resistance is resistance, right? There's your order block that led to the downward move. And you can see there's price. Let's quickly look at Bitcoin. What happened with Bitcoin when it got into that zone? What did Bitcoin do, right? Well, actually, it led into a pretty big short squeeze because this was an obvious area. And look at the same thing, right? At the time when price was coming into there, you were somewhat overbought as you were approaching that order block, right? So that's where short players hedge. They put their stop losses above, and that's actually what led to that big explosive move towards the upside. So the question is, will ETH do something similar, right? Will ETH bulldoze straight through this level? That has at least been my thought process over here. You're probably going to consolidate into the zone. So consolidate and then short squeeze straight through. And then you're going to flip that 3,000 possibly into support over there. And you're going to watch for the high low. Okay, so we took the ETH trade quite a while ago. Remember, we did it specifically on Femex. We took ETH on spot from at the time it was around the 1780 region, and then we put on leverage. I did take some of the profits over the course of the weekend, as on the low time frame price was hitting the 1.618 fib extension. But I am looking to possibly get back into that trade. Okay, this is what I was looking for. So we got the move up. I was literally just watching this on the low time frames, and this is essentially what I wanted to see. I wanted to see this 5-minute bearish structure break, lower lows and lower highs over here on ETH. You've now started to break out of that level. So that's at least one good sign. So now we're going to start to look for an opportunity to reload and take that ETH, right? We're using the ETH as collateral. So we essentially margin long, right? You have to go to ETH margin or ETH perps, but under the margin trade option, right? So here it is. You go here, coin M perpetual. You click on ETH over there. If you do want to follow along with the same strategy that we used previously, why do we do it like this? The reason that we do it like this is because you're essentially making more ETH, right? As price does continue to expand towards the upside, your profits are being denominated or earned in ETH, right? So as ETH price goes up and your profits are being settled in ETH, you're just making exponentially more ETH. This only really works in a very, very strong bullish market, right? So all in all, that's looking good. This is the other chart that I've been focused on for this trade on Femex. There is a link in the description below. I'll show you how to get your $100 as well. But I've been looking at the USDT dominance, right? So it's been grinding into this. We expected a bit of a bear flag to form as you watch it grind into this level. And now it's starting to break down next major zone over here. And this can lead to some pretty sizable moves, right? 10% down on USDT dominance is going to be massive moves, double digits for a lot of the altcoins over there. So if you do want to take that trade with me, go through to the link in the description below, click on Femex over here, right? When you click on that link, they're doing the Femex pizza trading carnival challenge, right? So if you go over here, firstly, there's competition price structures that they have. Everything's listed below. If you do register and make your first deposit, you'll receive $100, right? Then based on your trading volume, you're guaranteed to get money back. It's just a question of how much. Now, one of the reasons that whales trade over here is because you can get up to $45,000, right? You're sharing up to $45,000 based on your trading volume, and they'll show you exactly what your ranking is below, right? If you go below, there it is. They show you exactly what your ranking is over here based on trading volume, and then you can work out what they're going to send you back. So use the link below if you do want to participate in that. All right, let's have a look at ETH. So Monday range forming, again, it's going to kind of be in alignment with what Bitcoin does. The short term, and it's tricky when the market moves very, very quickly like this, but the short term bias is a quick move to $106,000, possibly a little bit of a pullback into $103,000, reload, and then run it up towards all-time highs, right? That's currently the basis, or at least what we're looking at. Okay, what else? Let me know in the comments if there is anything else that you want to have a look at. Remember, guys, we gave literally for 2 weeks now, we looked specifically at the key, the Spaceman BTC indicator over here, looking at key levels. So yearly open, marked off, previous month's high, previous month's mid-range, previous month's low, and everything was last week based around the Monday trading range. So it's probably going to be a little bit similar this week. We need to wait for the Monday range to form. you may see a lot of excitement come into the market, big moves up, and then later on this week, sweep those Monday lows. That's where you're going to take the longs. And the basis has been the same. We're looking for a move up to the yearly open, pretty much on everything. Some of the coins have already basically hit those yearly opens. If we go to Solana, have a look at Solana, let that load up. I believe Solana is like just under that yearly open. Where is this? Why is it taking so long today for all of this to load up? Let me know in the comments while we wait for that as well, if there is anything specific that you want. Should we do a refresher? Let's just hit a refresher over here. Okay, let's refresh. While we wait for that to refresh, guys, I also will let you know, remember, we're taking signups 7 days to go for the next Whale School cohort. You can join for absolutely free. You don't have to pay $2,000. The best way to join is to sign up over here to Phoenix, claim your sign-up deposit bonus over there, and that anyway makes you eligible. Use that user ID to gain access into not only my course, but actually any of them. Look at this. This list is getting bigger. Intro to Crypto, David Tech School, Sniper School, Whale School, Crown School, Trading Accelerator, and you're getting a whole library worth of information, right? Okay, let's go back. So we need this chart over here, and let's just quickly pull up some of those levels. So we were looking at specifically Solana. So here's Solana, and the yearly open is where? Okay, is it still going to make us wait? Can you believe this? What is going on today? Right, what is going on? While we wait, we might have to skip all the key levels if it's not going to pull up quick enough. Let me know in the comments what else you're looking at. So you say PEPE. Remember, if ETH goes up, PEPE goes up more, right? Those meme coins usually run much harder. Okay, I've given up on the key levels tool. Let's just go straight to PEPE. So PEPE, it's already played out a big portion of the move. This was also dropped. Firstly, in Whale Room, it was dropped on the show, and we had Farouk also taking this trade, one of our Whale Room coaches over there. Full TP has been reached, right? I definitely wouldn't long over here. What I'd wait for now, and it is probably going to continue to expand. So what I'd wait for now is probably something like that, right? And then you're going to consolidate above that mid-range. You can see level 1, level 2, level 3. It's going to hold that level, and then you can trade it up to the yearly open. Okay, looking good over there. All right, what else? Let's see. I'm going to try one more time on Sol. Please show us the yearly open. There we go. Finally got it. So again, consolidation into this level. I expect Sol's probably going to smash straight through that and head towards 210, right? But that is your yearly open. That was always the target. 𝗬𝗎 has probably already hit the yearly open. Let's see. 𝗬𝗎 looking strong. It's had a pretty big move over here. This may be the first coin that's going to challenge those all-time highs. We did go long on this all the way from $2.10. Also dropped in Whale Room ahead of time. Had you taken that trade, you got a pretty sizable move, right? Already doubled your money, 105% move. I genuinely believe this is a trader's market, guys. So it's not really the environment, in my opinion, to be taking on too much risk, to be building long-term portfolios that you're going to hold. How long could we run for? Realistically, this cycle could continue all the way into October, November of this year. That was always the base case based on the timing cycles, all the timing factors. We spoke about this previously. You guys say tariff news is just in. Let me have a look over here. Let's see. Tariff news just in. China to lower tariffs on US goods to 10% from 125% for 90 days. Okay, so then they're going to renegotiate again 90 days. So they're coming with some form of leniency. So ultimately, yeah, this is going to lead to the move up. So it looks real. It looks real, right? The breakouts look real. For now, price is following suit. I expect the futures markets already, look at that, challenging those highs. Let's look at QQQ. Pre-market is probably opening up nice and high. Why is it not loading? Dow Jones, let's try that one. So pre-markets are probably also going to open up much higher. Everything is looking good, right? Everything is looking good for continuation, but this is definitely FOMO territory, so you certainly want to be careful. Okay, what I wanted to say before I get off track over here, what I wanted to say is, guys, remember a couple of weeks or months ago, you were absolutely panicking, right? People were going into deep, dark depressions because their coins were down. And a lot of those coins, you're probably still down, to be honest with you, because some of those took 90% drawdowns and now you're only up like 100%. What I want to say to you is that it's a good time to fix your portfolio. Take those 100 positions. Some cases, some of you are insane. You have 300-400 coins. and consolidate that, right? Sell those coins into just like 3, 4, 5 positions that is more easy for you to manage. It's a manageable position, right? So currently, yeah, everything is ripping, right? It's looking good. I mean, ETH is, I don't know if it's going to even get that pullback. You could probably just look at straight extension over here with your stop loss just below those lows, right? Basically, as this news starts to break for the US, and this is what you see in these powerful breakaway markets, right? Is you see the move up like this. There's BTC. You have this consolidation like this. And it's ultimately just these aggressive bull flags, right? So you can pretty much just clone that. And what do you expect? The breakout of this literally could lead Bitcoin straight to 114,000. Happens very, very quick. These are these breakout moves, right? Big, big, big moves. Where do you put your stop loss? Pretty much just place your stop loss underneath this candle today. If this does continue towards the upside, this is a 4-hour time frame. What are you looking at, pricing wise over here? You're looking at about 8.24% move, 8.24% move. So that's what you're looking at. Is there any opportunity over here on this trade? Let's just quickly see on FEMIX. I mean, I'm going to view this as a breakout. I think I'm just going to take this long straight away over here. And that's it. I'll place my stop loss underneath these lows. Okay, so that's it. We're in the trade again on ETH. So that's using the ETH as collateral, perpetual long. I'll place my stop loss just below those lows over there. That is going to be, I don't want to give you guys the exact level. You all go in the same exchange, put it at the same place, and then you get stop hunted, right? So you decide, sensible places for the stops below here. It depends how tight you want to go. I'll set my stop after the show. All right. What else, guys? Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want to have a look at. Most of the trades that we've given last week are still in play. Everything's working out. You're looking at higher prices and you're targeting the yearly open. It's literally as simple as that. I don't know what else to say. Have fun, enjoy the ride. Don't think you're a genius. Everyone's a genius in a bull market. Always consider what is your worst case scenario if things go against you. These are things you need to ask yourself. Reconsolidate your portfolio. Don't hold too many coins. The last phase of the bull run, you want to hold few coins so that you can manage those positions. And if things turn, when they turn very quickly and violently, you can get out. But can you believe it, guys? It literally could be that time. Alt season. Alt season is when Bitcoin dominance marks down in a big way. Let's check out the weekly over here and look at that. If we get 2 more weeks of downside over here, you have 3 candles rejecting from that key pivot level. You can see now when I highlight it over here, this yellow line, that's your key pivot level. Let's just expand this. There we go. Look at that key pivot level. Can we still hit the top of the range? It's always possible. You need some sort of a major crash. You could get to this 0.786 at 66%. But for now, while the music is playing, let's dance. Let's dance. Make sure you have a chair at the end. I wrote a whole thing about that for the whale room members. So cool. I think that's it from me, folks. I want to get straight into trading. So it's a little bit difficult to do that on the live show. I'll see you all in the next one. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day wherever you are in the world. And make hay while the sun shines. I'll catch you on the next one. And cheers for now.